There we go.
I just want to give a special shout out real quick to all the chat room bouncers in there. Just keep your eye out for any unfriendlies tonight, because Kev, that's stirred the pot. Yeah.
You mean I've incurred the wrath of the blue chickens? Unirock, brother, in the chat room. Uni's going to be hanging out with us this weekend with us, Joe.
That's excellent. I can't wait, man. That's going to be an absolutely happy action fun time.
Happy action fun time and no $5? What the hell, dude?
It's all right. You never know.
People just don't have any.
I'm so happy to report, friends. And let me just say this, because I'm totally independent of this, that somebody today was naughty and got blocked on Twitter.
Oh, imagine my disgust, my utter disgust when I went along to Twitter and I found out that my favorite social media influencer had blocked me. I can't, honestly, I can't believe this has happened.
Dare you?
How am I going to live without this dude here to destroy the illusion? How can I live without Jordan Sather, man?
It was wisdom. You, sir, taken the wrong pill. Dude.
Did I take the blue pill? Did I go back to sleep?
Something happened because there's some sort of disconnect. I don't get it. Look at you. Oh.
I know.
He was your hero, man. What happened? Where's the fall from grace?
Dude, I don't know.
He didn't take the blue chicken pill.
I took the Unirock magenta pill. That's what it was, dude. I'm telling you, man. Sather's blocked me. I've got the blue chicken cult.
I have to say, you and Ryan were very, very, very nasty. Very nasty.
Oh, were we evil people?
You were evil. I mean,
were we quite hateful?
How dare you talk about an American hero like that?
I know, dude. I know. I'm
here just trying to defend. I'm trying to defend somebody here, because in America, my friend, you are innocent until proven guilty, and I'm telling you, somebody's got to defend him. So I'm here to defend him.
So you think it should be me and Ryan and people like that with our false accusations and things, despite the fact we've got evidence to back up our claims? Unlike the Sathers of this world,
with anything.
Obviously, I'm doing it all wrong. You just have to go around YouTube and Twitter and accuse Hollywood actors and politicians of all these heinous crimes with no evidence, and you can become a superstar. I got it wrong, dude.
I have taught you long ago the golden rule in independent media. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
I know,
Don't ever. So what is this thing you say called evidence? What is this?
What evidence do we have?
What do we need evidence for, first of all? And who cares? Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. And right now, blue chickens, they're good. Okay?
Obviously, dude. I prefer mine deep fried, but wow, dude, I've never seen my Twitter blowing up as much as it had today. Not with lots of love and,
just stay away from the blue nuggets.
Happy long time.
Stay away from the blue nuggets.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the blue nuggets until the weekend when we hook up with Uni, and we'll get Ryan onto the show as well, and
Oh,
we will
Jesus,
put.
have mercy. Are you serious?
Yeah, we're going to put the final stake in the blue chicken, dude.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's like on the ropes right now. It's just buck, buck, buck on the ropes, and I'm standing there and ready to give it the kind of jab. And Ryan's going to come in, give it a quick 1-2, and then Uni is going to come in with a smackdown, and it's done.
Are you sure? Are you sure you guys are up for this?
Well, if
The
we're
blue
not,
chicken is in the roaster.
Are you
But
sure
it's
you're up?
not
You're
yet- it's
up
not
for
yet
a.
quite done.
Are you up for a good basting?
it would seem so, dude. It would seem like I'm almost a lover of being basted.
Seems like it, but it's okay.
It is
Saturday,
okay.
Sunday.
Who knows?
You know, over here we have the monster trucks, and that's what it reminds me of.
Who
is
knows if we'll even be here by Saturday or
You remember
Sunday?
that? You remember that, Kev or Scotty? Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Come down to the Coliseum live. It's incredible.
Hey,
Have, like,
I'm in
big-
Kansas. I'm in Kansas. I'm in Kansas. They still do that. They
That's
still
what
have
I'm
those.
saying. I mean, come on, dude. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. And that's what I can. I just see it now. I see it now. No top men. We're not doing men in drag.
I'm just saying, I'm having a look to see how we go into new incognito window. I'll bring this up for you boys to see in a moment. We'll see if we can get the Twitter post in question. But yeah, like I was saying before we even get going, thanks for tuning in today, folks.
Yeah.
We're having some network issues, not with TFR. It's more the server provider side of things. And of course, because that's happening on the same day as the great YouTube Purge goes underway, which we will touch upon tonight.
Yeah, and when is that supposed to happen?
Well, I can tell you it happened to me back in September last
I
year.
do remember that. Yeah.
This has been an ongoing thing, but it's getting worse now, dude. It's getting far worse.
Yeah, but here's the thing with you, man, is that you're not going down like you're not a right wing, you're not a left wing, you're not any wing, you're not really political, and you don't have anything to do with nothing like any hot button topics, really. If you think about it, it's all science now.
And if anything, are we not becoming like the more logical, I hate to say debunker, because
You had Geordie Rose on.
Yeah, we had Geordie on.
You know what I mean? I don't think people like that would come on if you were of the ilk that they would look to be purging. I'm just saying.
That's a good point. No,
I don't think you fit the mold.
That is a good point. It is a good point. However, this is something that's happening right now. We've had breaking news all over the world today, how YouTube are going into full steam to clean up the platform and, in their words, get rid of the hate speech.
And see, the thing with Crowder is political. So because Crowder's political, he's going to come under that scrutiny. He's going to be, he's lucky he survived, but he's on the hot seat. There's no doubt. And there's others on the hot seat, no doubt. And we've seen Jones, he's out, right?
Yep.
That's been devastating for him.
Hugely.
Absolutely devastating for him. And so now you've got Congress taking up antitrust.
Yeah, I've seen that.
This issue because it's too much power. These people, with the click of a button, can destroy people's lives. And that should not be allowed to happen. That's the issue at hand is now, do these tech powers, these companies, have too much power? And I think they do.
Well, you'll need to
be
explain
broken
to
up.
me anyway, Joe, and for anyone else out there, what this actually means. What is an antitrust investigation? I mean, what does that even entail?
So here it is, right? So back in the day, and this goes back to the robber barons of the 19th century. So you're talking about, your Rockefellers, your Guggenheims, your Fords, your billionaires the millionaires, if you will, and the monopolies, the Carnegies, the DuPonts of the early 20th century, late 19th century. And they were called the money trust back then. And it was people like Charles Lindbergh Sr. and Senator McCormick and Dick Steen that really got into the money trust along with President Roosevelt. And out of that, you had the basically the the busting. It was called the Sherman Antitrust Act. That was the first thing to happen. That was in the 19th century. That was to combat Standard Oil, and all of these, and the railroads too. It was the railroads first, because the railroads were getting too powerful and consolidating, and then it got from the railroads. They went to John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil, and then turned the corner to the 20th century, and that's when you had the Sherman Antitrust Act applied really to a lot of these trusts, and what they would do in order to kind of keep themselves away is they would form these trusts. Now, a lot of people in the sovereign citizen movement know what trusts are because they often live with that. And that allows for you to conduct business not as you, but in the name of the trust. So the trust pays the taxes, the trust gets the money. The trust does every business transaction, and you step back and don't have to do any of that. But in reality, you're doing it. But this is what the robber barons used. They did everything with trusts, and then, basically back then everything was unregulated. So, offshoring, all that kind of stuff. These people didn't pay taxes. First of all, there was no income tax, So it was just an amazing thing how they were able to consolidate power and basically hoard the wealth. And that's what they were doing. So they had to bust that up. And they used the Sherman Antitrust Act to do that. And that's why you see antitrust investigation.
So is there any kind of hope for anyone out there that might be under the kind of microscope of YouTube or anything right now? We're on YouTube. We'll deal with that, me being a YouTuber. Is this any kind of light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to this censorship that's going on?
I don't think so.
No.
I really don't.
I heard, is it Colbert, not the mainstream one, the one on YouTube here, the Colbert Report. And he was talking about regulation. We hear about this all the time, regulation of Facebook, Google, all the big social media platforms. But he made a really good point because when you listen to Mark Zuckerberg's words and you look at what he says and the blogs that he puts out, he's actually craving regulation. He wants to be regulated. And I think, and the point he was trying to get across in this video was that when this regulation comes in, the only people it's really going to suit are the big companies that it's allegedly meant to rein in anyway, because they'll make so many kind of hoops for other platforms to jump through that it'll just be impossible for anyone else to actually adhere to these regulations, as opposed to the big Facebooks and Googles that are doing all the lobbying with all the money, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. And this has been the plan all along. And like you said, Kev, they're already at a point now to where they can adhere to these regulations and pay the money and have the financial resources to deal with all of this stuff. But any other alternative platform that might want to pop up and try to get started, it's going to be almost impossible for them to do. And this is all basically a Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution situation. This is the outcome that they've wanted to begin with, right? So that they create a problem. Oh, hold on, we got a super chat coming in. Let's see.
We all missed you so much. Hope everyone is having a good night. Smoke 'em if you are, y'all. Blue chicken, blue cow.
Blue chicken, blue cow. Yeah, blue chickens are definitely on the menu today. Buck, buck.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, going back to what I was saying, though, it is. This is the end of the road here that they wanted is for government regulation over the internet, right? And the only way they could do that was to collude with tech companies.
I think what you're going to end up finding, though, is it's not going to be government. It'll be UN. You'll have UN oversight over it.
They are going down the road of this global oversight.
They already gave control to the UN, right? They already ceded control of it. And then if you think about it, you have a UN body that then everybody has to go by the same set of rules. The World Wide Web. It'll be all one set of rules.
And didn't Obama like hand over the ICANN like domain registry over to the United
Okay, then
Nations?
let me ask you a question then, and just be, I could be wrong here, but how much do you guys think? And I'm asking the audience out here as well. How much do you think conspiracies such as Flat Earth, QAnon, blue chicken cults, and any of the more outrageous stuff that we see on YouTube, how much do you think this is playing in to this purge that is happening right now?
Pretty significant.
Yes, last night I was actually thinking about this when I was trying to get to sleep. My mind is
there. He was.
The gears were turning, and I was sitting here thinking about, I've talked about it before. Cognitive infiltration, Cass Sunstein. The infiltration of the quote unquote truther movement or alternative media, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of these more outrageous conspiracies, I guess you could say, the flat earth stuff, the QAnon stuff and all of that. I think it's disinformation. I think it's a psyop. I think it was intentionally injected into the alternative media or into the truther movement it was weaponized, and then they used that as an excuse to go after everyone as a whole, to go after the legit people who are actually providing real information. The flat earth thing is like used as a straw man now, so if you're talking about a certain event that happened on September of 2001, you're like, oh, you think that was an inside job? Well, you probably think the earth is flat too. You see how that works? So so they take everybody who is actually questioning, asking real questions and doing legit research, and then they're rolling them up into this psyop and these crazy fringe things that have been pushed. And then they use that as a pretext to go after everyone. Yeah,
Joe, it's almost as if these particular conspiracies we're talking about, not even that they are even genuine conspiracies, conspiracism, as that new report put it, conspiracism with no evidence against like real events like JFK and things where it is kind of stuff that you can point to. But it's almost as if this has been allowed to flourish. In fact, no, they've promoted it to the point where it does flourish. And my good friend, Soyther, Soy Boy Sather, him that's now blocked me on YouTube. And yes, Uni, I'm coming for your number 3 slot on the shill list. I want to be on that list, brother. I've been trying for years, man. I'm going to make it, goddammit. But him sitting there telling people to take coffee enemas and to drink MMS bleach, and being promoted being promoted by the algorithm. I mean, for me personally, he might think he's the superstar. I honestly think he's been promoted to that level so that one day, i.e. now, they can point to that and go, look how dangerous this actually is. I mean, these people are not just pushing like out there conspiracies. They're literally affecting people's health.
I know. No, bleach.
They use that as an excuse to go after people that are promoting like homeopathic remedies and
you're like those crazy people that make you drink bleach.
Yeah, see how that works. They promote people that push these really, really fringe out there.
And they let them get successful.
Yep, the algorithm promotes them. Yeah, the algorithm goes for them. The algorithm's been tweaked to actually promote stuff that is
promote that stuff
knowingly,
at
dodgy.
At least for a time.
Yeah.
Until the use is over.
And I think that time is now, Joe.
Then you're destroyed.
Yeah, I think that time is coming right now. That's what it feels like to me, anyway. But I don't know about you guys, but we've lost.
Some. You went through yours.
I did go through mine.
You went through you went through yours. I don't think this is a different section, if you will, of the YouTube sphere. That's why I just don't think you apply right now. Not this time.
No, but I mean, look at the ones we have lost. I mean, Press for Truth, Dan Dix. I would call him one of the more serious, logical-based, fact-based kind of journalists out there.
Doesn't matter.
No, I know, but I'm just pointing out the fact.
Back.
Yeah, and you've got.
And he's political.
I mean, don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not talking about taking away people's freedom of speech. I'm for everyone's free speech, okay? But we're just looking at the way that this is kind of playing out and how they're using specific topics, specific characters to justify what they're actually doing. And they don't need to convince us. This is something I keep saying over and over again. They just need to convince the people out there that still believe the mainstream, still believe that everyone in authority, they've got their best interests at heart. Now, you might say, well, that's a bit conspiratorial, Kev. Well, it's just the way the world works, unfortunately.
It really, truly is. They do not want people that think independently. So they don't want people that are looking for and or advocate libertarian type of views, that kind of independence, prepping, all of that crazy stuff that makes you less reliant upon the government god. Then, that's what they want. They want you relying on the government god. So they try to get you as big into that on that teat as they possibly can, Kev.
No, absolutely. And a big shout out
to go after the voices of dissent. That's just the way it's always been that way. Only now they have had a hard time kind of controlling the propaganda flow because they had no way to kind of squash the dissent without outright. But now they've got the algorithms.
And then you have to take into account that these tech companies are political. They are biased, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
YouTube, these tech companies, they lean left, right? And so what they do is they also try to brand any of these like alternative media platforms as right-wing like alt-right websites, right?
Yeah, which is malarkey, Yeah,
exactly. So you have people out there, like you said, Joe, promoting more libertarian. They're not left or right. They're not playing the left-right spectrum, but these tech companies group them into it. They
absolutely.
Them, and then they target them. So it's just this crazy thing of they're I don't know. We're in a really, really messed up situation right now.
It's a rut because it's going to get so bad that people are going to clamor for change, and then they'll get what they want, that they wanted all along, the Hegelian dialectic. It's the same.
So, Joe, do we think that, looking back with hindsight now, right, when I was caught up in the first kind of algorithm tweak, the first change, and I got demonetized that first time, right, it was hell on earth. Didn't tell me what.
See how that affected you.
Yeah, didn't tell me what videos to remove, which was the violating ones. You were basically left in limbo. So I took 1,600 videos off the platform, and it broke my heart because there was a lot of good work there, a lot of good information, but the information's still over at TFR in the archive and things, so it all wasn't lost. But now when I look back at how I personally have changed the way that I approach specific stories, specific topics, because I know what's happening on YouTube. People say,
because
but
Kev
say, well, you can call it self-censoring, but you have to adapt, improvise, and overcome if you want to play on their battlefield,
And it's not that we don't talk about those things.
Exactly. There's a way
we just know how to do it.
Yeah, there's a way to go about it,
Right.
This whole sensationalism and false accusations and baseless kind of conspiracy stuff, Scott, I mean, that's consigned to the memory hole for me. And if people still want to push that stuff, then don't complain when they do come after you,
But if people do want to speak about it, guys, they should be able to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's the issue, is that why is it that people even have to worry about it? Well, it's because everybody knows what's best for everybody else. That's always good. But more importantly than that, you've got a narrative that's sprung up called fake news. And it's being used to the point where even today, and it was kind of surprising, but then again, not so surprising, that that's the number one concern in America for Americans as far as safety is concerned. It's not terrorism. It's not the economy. It's not healthcare. It's not immigration. It's fake news.
Well, Joe, imagine this then. If fake news is such a problem just now, okay, let's add in there what we've been looking at recently. We played the AI that had mocked up Joe Rogan's voice. Remember, It was talking about he was sponsoring the ice hockey team full of chimps. So they got his voice to the point where us three here, regular Joe listeners, if we didn't know, we would have thought it was just one of Joe's jokes, right? And then add to that the deep fakes, where really now we can't trust our eyes with anything that we see in digital form. And it's going to get to the point where you're going to have some form of AI checking to see if anything is deep fake, if anything has been kind of scrutinized. So you've got AI policing
Almost
AI.
like a security checkpoint.
Yeah, it's so weird, dude. So weird. And how many times are real videos going to get flagged up by AI,
That's
software
a
that checks?
Yeah,
maybe you've
swept up
got
in it.
maybe you've got a shaky camera, maybe it's out of focus, and maybe the algorithm's going to pick that up as well. That's a deep fake. Look, there's a bit of stuff going on there. And then the deep fakes are getting so good because they'll always get better over time. That's machine learning. They won't get any worse.
learning.
They get better and better and better. So at some point, the AI, I mean, how's it even going to know?
That's the thing. So listen to this. This is Axios that reported this today. It said Americans view made up news and information as a bigger problem than other critical issues, including terrorism, immigration, climate change, and racism. This according to the Pew Research Center. They say why it matters. The survey finds that Americans feel more worried today about fake news because it's undermining their trust in key institutions like government and the media. The only issue that ranked higher than made up news and information as very big problems in the country today are drug addiction, the affordability of healthcare in the U.S. political system, and the income gap. By the numbers, an overwhelming majority of Americans, 68%, believe made up news and information has a big impact on their trust in government. More than 54% of Americans say it impacts their confidence in other Americans. And more than 51% said it impacts the ability of political leaders to get work done. So it is a big problem. But what's the solution, guys? It always seems like we always navigate towards the puritanical. And I can't stand it. I say that we go the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Because none of that shit worked. Every single effing time we've tried prohibition, it doesn't work. So let's open the floodgates and say, fuck it. Just open it up and let everybody rip. And if you want to say,
it all comes down to education.
yeah.
It comes down to educating people on, look, if you see this headline, here's the things you need to look for if this site is probably promoting some bullshit or some fake news, you know what I mean? And we all know those sites.
Yeah.
We can tell.
You mean like the before
go
it's
to-
news that scrape my website for anything I do, that kind of place, Scott?
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, you have these like websites that have these ridiculous, kind of like these ridiculous names, and they promote these sensational headlines about either side of the political party, right? I mean, you have them on both sides, but I mean, you do see it more prominent, I would say, among these conservative websites, right? Where they're like, making some sensational accusation against somebody on the left, and it's like completely ridiculous,
But hang on. I just want to address something in the chat. Jeff, interesting how Kev claims to be a Christian, yet he promotes such foul language. That's you putting me into that Christian box there. My beliefs are my beliefs. Your beliefs are your beliefs. And people are entitled to say what they like, dude. We're talking
Amen.
about censorship on the internet, and you want me to censor my mates from using the odd bad word?
Not to mention,
that's
we
insane.
don't buy into labels. So
No.
where we are believers, we don't put ourselves in boxes.
Yeah, I believe in what I believe in. I've got a Bible there.
We don't call ourselves something that he didn't even call himself.
Yeah, exactly. So
One of those things.
I just thought that was quite amusing. But I want to give a big shout out to Cliff High, who I've seen in the chat as well.
Very good, man.
And
yeah.
Cliff's somebody that I've been following for years. And Cliff,
Long
if you're
time.
still listening right now, I would love to have a conversation with you on here. You know, that would
You
be
shameless bastard.
No, absolutely. Did you not? Geordie Rose, and then we've got Cliff High, who's been using algorithms and bots for a long, long time. Probably when
George, say he's probably one of the first to really dive in and use it as like a web crawler like that. You know what I mean?
I think probably I absolutely agree, dude. I have to agree with you.
Yeah,
and in fact, that
way back,
that almost gave us a little window, right? We talk about AI a lot, and when we have enough data, you start to see a predictive capability coming from the AI. Well, Cliff was well ahead of that curve, right? Because he was doing it for the financial markets to start with, looking at vast amounts of information out there online around the world, various languages and things. And it was literally starting to predict the future because it was assessing the language. Right. So yeah, it was one of the very first examples that we can look back at to add as evidence of this almost Minority Report, pre-crime, looking into the future ability that some AI has.
Yeah, you know, and going back to the fake news thing, right? Like I said, it comes down to education, being able to, you know, to tell people, you know, kind of show people like the red flags to look for on if a site is legit. I mean, just basic stuff like where are their sources? You know, if you go to a website, usually they have sources linked within the article. Yeah. Or they should have sources linked within the article, and then you just follow the trail of sources. And if it leads back to something legit, then okay, you know. If you don't see any sources linked, then that's already a major red flag. You know, there's all kinds of stuff, you know. But to go through and kind of like have the government start, you know, being in charge of what's the term that YouTube uses? The authoritative sources and stuff like that, and forcing people into only looking at news coming from the authoritative sources.
And add to that, Scott, add to that the kind of the war on language, i.e. political correctness, what's deemed hate speech one day to the next. So they're controlling the language, which in turn controls how we think. They control the content that we're seeing, which goes towards controlling what we think. And when they can control what you think, they control how you behave.
And how many of these fake news websites, right? Like the ones, especially the ones that are like political on the left and the right, how many of those do you think are intentionally created? You know, it like put there on purpose for that exact reason. You know, going back to like what we were saying about these different conspiracies that are pushed, right? Like Flat Earth and Q and all of that stuff. I think a lot of these fake news websites are intentionally put there, you know, for that reason as well, so that they can point to them and go, look, this site's promoting fake news and people are sharing it on social media.
I would have to say, I would have to say that, yeah, they just promote it more. I think it's somewhere in the depths of their algorithms, it's meant to promote those a little bit more, to give them a little more visibility. Because really, you know, it's about that. It's about, I swear, these things are more about programming than anything else.
Yeah, and think about it. You look
it's
at the
intelligence gathering and it's programming.
And Joe, you know that algorithm over on Facebook. We'll use Facebook as the example.
Sure.
It knows what gets more of a response, and it knows that more people will interact with the hyperbolic, sensational headline stories as opposed to anything else. And I think that ties into why you see that stuff being promoted more. And again, it's almost as if that's a tactic per se. It's almost written into the algorithm for it to do that.
Hey, you trolls make love to.
I'll say it for you, just hey, you trolls, go make love to yourselves, you losers.
Yeah, you losers.
Absolutely.
Big old losers.
Exactly. Hey, everybody needs a bit of trolling, boys. If you're not getting trolled, you're not doing it right. That's what I say.
And,
but yeah,
well, I mean, unless you're a puritanical troll. If you're a puritanical troll, then by all means.
but like I was saying, those clickbait stories, those titles that you see getting pushed by the algorithm more, they know they get more kind of interaction, more attention. And what does that bring? That brings more data for the AI to learn better. So that's why I think you see these stories getting more traction than you see just the ordinary kind of normal, unsensationalized, genuine news.
Have you seen the latest, or have you seen the video from Veritasium, Kev?
No, I have not. No.
Okay, so he just put,
this video.
Okay, so he put a video out. I'll have to give a little kind of context on it. He put a video out where he was explaining why they dumped all of those shade balls on top of the reservoir in LA.
Yeah.
And it went mega viral, like 30 million views. And so he did a follow-up video called "Why My Video Went Viral," and he broke down what YouTube is doing with their algorithms. And it was very, very interesting. And I suggest, when anyone has the time, to go and watch that video. But basically what it boils down to is that the YouTube algorithm is now at a point to where it's favoring sensational headlines, like a sensational title, and it's also looking at the clickability, I guess you could say, of the thumbnail. Yeah. So the image being used in the thumbnail and the title are the two major factors in what causes a video to gain traction on YouTube.
And something else I learned as well, Scott, see even the like and dislike, that getting clicked as well helps to kind of get it noticed by the algorithm. That and comments, and even the person posting the video, they tell
flag, yeah.
He said the main factors are the title, the thumbnail, and the watch time.
Scott, what's the name of the video for people out there? There's people asking for it.
I think it's called "Why My Video Went Viral" or something. It's from the Veritasium YouTube channel. Just head over there, and he does a really, really good he does a really good explanation of what is going on with the YouTube algorithms.
But I mean, think about that. You have a way of managing people's behavior down to a micro level, whereas before this technology existed, even before television, I mean, television had nothing on this AI. AI has taken this thing to a whole new level where it can manage so much, and down to what dish detergent you use. I mean, it's crazy how it manages your life down to that level of detail, and it does it for everybody that's plugged into that whole culture of convenience. It just ends up being that way. And you look at it, man, it has been, like I said, I started off with Laban, and I've kind of gone forward with that. And Laban showed just the power of vilifying individuality and promoting groupthink. Because when you can promote groupthink, you can control the masses. It really boils down to that. You want people to identify with something. And if you can get them to identify with something, you got them. It's as simple as that. It's like, holy smokes. So from a very early time, they've got it. And they use polarizing things because normally that's what people identify with, like a politics or religion. The two most polarizing things, because that's where people's identity are really most valued, their most valued part of what they identify as seems to be those two things. And if you start attacking those, man, people get hostile. That's why we've kind of gone and shied away from that stuff, because we see what it's being used for. It's not that we don't have an interest in it, but won't play their game. Not going to do it. You know?
No, totally agreed. And the thing is, folks, this will get probably worse before it gets any better. And I know we've got the antitrust and the Trump things going on. You know, Trump was serious about this. He would have done something a long, long time ago. Probably before his good mate Alex Jones got kicked off the platform.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Is it's going to get a lot worse, Kev, and then they're going to give you what they wanted all along. And you see what's going on in China, and it's going to be something similar to that, where if you're going to want to have to go on the internet, you're going to have an identity. Yeah. You're going to have some way to tie your stuff
Look
to
over
you.
here in the UK. We are 1 month away from what is affectionately dubbed the porn ban, right?
Right.
And they say that we're banned from looking at porno sites and things like that unless we provide some form of legitimate government-accepted ID, i.e. passport or your driving license. Now, I get it. A lot of people will say, well, come on, Kev, you're not saying that kids and just anyone should be able to look at some of that stuff. There's some real sick and nasty stuff on there. Oh, there absolutely is some real sick and nasty stuff. But of course, I don't want kids to see it. But it's not about the kids. This is not about the kids. This is about the perfect subject to start that tiptoe towards full internet ID. Exactly. And anyone who does raise their head above the parapet, you know, to kind of take this on and say, this is shocking, we shouldn't have to ID ourselves because we're watching pornography. Well, you're going to look like a raging pervert, aren't you? And it's the perfect subject.
Yeah, and it's for the children.
And, you know, Joe, look at the story you gave me earlier on today. I think we'll play 1 minute of this because this really ties in my opinion, about the way social media and things are being used against us now in particular.
It's being weaponized, dude.
Yeah, big time, because you sent me a video, and we're only going to listen to 1 minute of this because obviously fair use, and we're going to be discussing it. But we're about to see how somebody's online persona, their online life, has really got big kind of effects in the real world, okay? You sent me this, Joe. We're going to listen to 1 minute of it, folks, so all you censors out there, don't strike me. Here we go. We'll take a listen to this.
He looked like the perfect candidate for the job.
You hear that all right?
When a recruiter checked out her Facebook page, she was savagely cut from the candidate pool. And we have the voicemail recording left on Lily's phone.
Hello, this is Lily. Could you please leave your name and details? I'll turn the phone down.
Are we doing another tattoo?
Probably doing that by hand.
It's the shocking voicemail fail that stunned job seeker Lily.
Could you believe what you were hearing?
No. My heart was pounding. I was just in shock, really.
Exposed a catty company employee.
If my employer wanted to get rid of me for that reason, so be it.
And uncovered the controversial tactic of employers judging job hunters solely on their social media profile. For the first...
Yeah, so there we go. People now getting judged on their social media profile.
Yeah,
when you have to start signing in, Scott, when you have to start signing in, when you start signing in to see, in this case in the UK soon, porn sites, and that's going to be on a register, some list somewhere. You know, you go for your next job and things, and basically your browser history. And of course, they're going to make sure this browser history will be tied to you, and it's definitely you. And the reason and the way they can do that is through an internet ID.
Yeah.
And this is why I always tell people, never add your boss or never add anybody from your work onto your social media. You know, especially if it's like your boss or upper management. You never allow them access to your social media, because no matter what they say, no matter what these companies tell you, they're always going to
always looking.
Always. And they're going to judge, because they're humans, and humans judge. No matter how
Amen.
And no matter how much they say they don't judge, they do.
They absolutely do every single effing time.
Yes, and so This is why you don't go and you put out all your dirty laundry on social media. You know, you see this so often with people where they're just so willing to like share a lot of this stuff in their personal lives that they really don't need to be sharing with anybody.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you're like, wow, you're willing to post that online for everybody to see. And then they wonder why they can't get a job or something, or why they got turned down for the interview. And it's like, man, you know, they went to your Facebook page and they basically saw what a train wreck your life is, and they're like, we don't want that in our company.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Bible says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." Right? Yet, I come to find that those that identify themselves as Christian tend to be the most judgmental people I've ever seen.
Well, especially the copy and paste Christians out there, dude.
Oh, man. I mean, it's just the most awful thing. Judgmental as hell, you know? And
how many Christians are there in the world? Over 1 billion, 2 billion?
Oh, over 1 billion Catholics.
Okay, so say 2 billion, right? So that means like 5 billion people are going to a fiery place just because of the geography they were born in the book that they.
There's
it's
a wide
craziness,
swath in many
dude.
types of.
My point is for people that shouldn't be judgmental to condemn over 5 billion non-Christians to the fires of hell. It's a slightly bit judgmental.
It's ridiculous. It truly is, you know, and it kills me because it just goes to show you the power of programming and how many people utilize it. You know, how many people utilize that pulpit the same way a politician utilizes that microphone or that podium. You know, they're very powerful. Preachers and politicians are the two most powerful voices, I guess you could say, in America. Just truly is. And how often do we see that power abused? And how often does greed come into play? Almost, I would say the majority of the time, I would have to say. I see more preachers driving Cadillacs than I do, you know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, you know, and it's not what it's all about. You know, It's not about Cadillacs and creature comforts, because, you know, you can't take it with you. This life is not about that, at least in my eyes, in my humble opinion.
Thank goodness, Joe. If it was about creature comforts, I'm doing it all wrong, man. All wrong.
We got it all wrong. We're in the wrong reality, dude.
No, definitely. We're in the wrong genre when it comes to making ourselves rich and famous.
The other thing, too. Yeah, this is not the Get Rich Scheme channel. Yeah, you've come to the wrong one. Don't come here for that.
I've seen a lot of people in the chat room today, boys. Wow. Yeah, new faces. And good to see all the people from TFR made it over here as well.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, because I couldn't make it onto the site to even tell people. I emailed just a guy. I informed Nancy.
Hey, you know, Cliff High showing up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I remember? I'm going to give you a Cliff High memory.
He's still in there because look, when you tag his name, look, he's still there. So
yeah,
he is still
I'm
there.
going to give you a Cliff High memory. Okay, so back in the day, this is when I first started doing this kind of stuff. Hey, I remember when me and AC Griffith, we used to have our conversations, and Cliff always came up in those conversations on air, and we would have a special reading. Now, I'm not supposed to tell anybody that I have this. So, Joe, this can't get back to Cliff, okay? You gave it to me in confidence. I have to. Okay, Griff, no problem. It's a subscription, you know. I can't do. Okay, all right. And so let me give you the highlights. I can't read it to you, so I'm just going to give you the highlights.
I love DC, dude.
You know, oh my God. And he would just give me the highlights. Well, you know, so it's going to be like this. So Bush is going to do this and that and everything else. And we go through the whole thing.
Holy hell, Joe. There's people wanting to marry me in the chat room. Trust me. A couple of hours with the real Kev Baker, that notion will soon go out your mind.
That's great. You know what, man? Like I said, I just got to say that Griff used to love Cliff High, man. Just absolutely adored him. Every time a WebBot report would come out, he'd be all on that up until the day he passed. So it was just one of those things that kind of stuck with me through the whole thing. Was how much that WebBot report meant to him. So it was kind of cool. So Cliff, if you're listening, You meant a lot to old Griff. Pretty cool. Now, where are we going from here since we talked about the censoring? Before we go into the grab bag, let me just inform people. Hopefully, we'll have TFR back up and running tomorrow. And again, it's nothing to do with TFR, folks. You know, they're working tirelessly, banging their head on the wall, trying to get the server company to fix this right now. It's nothing to do with the purge that's going on online with YouTube. Certainly nothing in line with that. And tomorrow, fingers crossed, we'll be back on TFR. And in hour number 2, we're going to have Bill Bean, the spiritual warrior, the exorcist. He's going to be with me. And if we can't make it on to TFR, then we will be here again on YouTube tomorrow. So just to let people know that before we dive into the grab bag of fun, boys. Yes. Yes, the grab bag of proverbial.
I'm still getting over the fact somebody wants to marry me in the chat room. What's that all about, dude? Anne's sitting here saying, have him, take him.
I guess while we're waiting, I guess I got something in the grab bag.
Hang on, wait a minute. What is Joe Joseph saying he can neither confirm or deny? What have you done, Joe?
Just a guy says I look just like him.
Really? Or just a guy? Please tell me not. Don't tell me you've been afflicted.
No, not in that way, Kev. Not in that way.
Well, that's okay then. I thought he'd been afflicted with your dashing good looks there, Joe.
Yes.
I was going to say, oh my God, there's a doppelganger. That's why
I kept it on the radio, because my face is made for it.
Well, there's something to talk about. I spoke about this with Jojo before. And Jojo, big shout out to Jojo in the chat room. Doppelgangers. I mean, God forbid I've got one out there. My one lives in Glasgow, apparently. Poor soul. Imagine somebody being afflicted with a coupon like this. Bad enough me having to deal with it. But imagine another Joe. I don't mind the thought of another Scott out there. That doesn't terrify me as much as another bloody Joe. Do you know what I mean? And when have we ever seen Joe quite this hairy? Are you on like some kind of hair cutting boycott? Is Ange refusing to take her Edward Scissorhands to your head? What's happening, dude?
No, man. I'm just letting the golden locks grow out a little bit. That's all, you know.
Before your hair becomes hateful in some way and some group tells you to get it shaved off?
Yeah, you know. I'm kind of on strike with the short hair for now.
Holy hell, Jojo, don't say that. Cloned Kevs? That would be terrifying.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
It's like a copy machine. After each one, they get more kind of, a little more drool or dripping off the lip. Yeah.
Could you imagine one off the chain, like a little leprechaun running around biting your ankles?
Wasn't there like a movie with like Michael Keaton in it where he was like cloned? There's a whole bunch of his clones and like.
Yeah, they started like
okay, and then it was like as it was going down the line, they were just like getting more and more like retarded. It
reminds me of Gremlins. Actually, that's kind of the way I would see like Kev working out. Don't get him wet. What? Whatever. No. It wasn't. Don't get him. Yeah, it was. Don't get him wet, but don't feed him after like 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, he turns into the.
Do not try and give me blue chicken sandwiches any time of day, but particularly after 9 p.m. in the evening. I can see that. Like turning a bit of a
suck your blood.
You know. Come on, Scott. What have you got in the
vampire chicken? Yeah, blood.
Come on, Scott. What have you got in the grab bag? Save us from Joe Joseph's nonsense.
Well, I was kind of telling you guys before the show that weather research history was made last Tuesday by my house, actually. Pretty close to where I live. Yeah, we had a really big tornado that hit Lawrence, Kansas, and then hit Linwood, Kansas as an F4, and storm chasers managed to get the first ever probe into a tornado that managed to carry it like 50 miles. So very exciting stuff. A lot of really good research data is going to come out of that, I believe. And, Joe was like, how does this help us right now? And I'm like, well, maybe down the road it'll help help figure out how to maybe make buildings withstand some of these extreme forces that are inside of a tornado better, now that we can kind of understand what's going on.
I don't know. I still remember the movie Twister, and I want to be that. I kind of want to be that guy, and then I don't want to be that guy.
You know, very interesting is that the rocket that was launched into the tornado.
Yeah, it went up like what, to like 30,000 feet or something?
34,000 feet, and they named it Dorothy, like from the movie Twister.
Yeah, that's badass.
They named the actual motherboard, the sensor inside the rocket. They named it Bill Paxton.
Really?
So yeah. They paid homage to the movie Twister, and they actually achieved what they did in the movie Twister.
That's pretty cool, man.
Right now they're crunching the data right now, and they said that they're going to be able to create a 3D animation of the probe spinning around in the tornado and being carried to wherever it was. And so yeah, really, really good stuff.
Do me and Joe have to like start a GoFundMe to send you like some kind of anchor? Because where you live, anchor. Scott, there's like a good chance that one of these days you might just take off, dude.
Do they make hurricane straps for tornado straps for your chair? And well, I think that's what we could do. No shit. Listen to this. Okay, so we find out where the next tornado is, right? Okay. Then we wheel out Scotty to that location. Now it's coming on, right? We anchor him down, anchor the chair down, have the seat belt on, right? We're going to have to get you a good set of goggles probably.
Scott, it's no wonder Scott has got that look on his face, dude.
We put a helmet on, right? We'll even put like a big electrode or antenna on it just in case there's some electrical activity. We can measure it, But I think it would work. You would be the first person to actually stay on the ground stationary during a tornado, and we'll strap sensors all over your stuff. It'd be awesome, dude.
For science,
baby.
That is a risk I am willing to take.
I could just see it now, dude. You come out and like your hair is just all.
I think it's even funnier that the chat room actually picked that up as you talking about a strap on, Joe, as opposed to straps on.
Now, how in the hell did they get that from what?
Because they think in a weird, twisted KBS-like fashion.
Yes. Apparently so.
Yes, we're all well suited here, right?
Sick people, you. How dare... Kev, this is a family show.
As JoJo says, hang on, strap on for tornado probing.
I was about to say, if we're starting to talk about strap-ons and probes,
this is supposed to be family entertainment.
I thought we were talking about aliens when you were talking about probes. I see, Joe, your mind's in the gutter. You see, I wasn't talking about that.
This is a family live stream. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was talking more about blue chicken kind of autopsies and things like that, dude.
My mind is the farthest from that right now.
You think so? Right, I've got a good story for us. I've got a good story for us, okay? And this is very, very close to home, literally, for me. Take a look at this one, guys. Holy shmoly. Scientists tease a Loch Ness find. Look at Joe's face. I'm scared to go back to Joe. He's full of nonsense. Joe-Joseph is full of nonsense. But it says here, right? It says here, of course, samples recovered by scientists in Loch Ness, quotes, might support one theory about Nessie. A team of boffins, well, they must be good then if they're calling them boffins in the paper, right? Led by Professor Neil Gemmell of the University of Otago, visited the loch last year to take samples from different depths in the world-famous waters. He has now said the results were surprising, but refused to be drawn on exactly what they suggest ahead of a planned announcement next month. Theories include the idea of the monster as a surviving plesiosaur, a sturgeon, or perhaps a giant catfish. Quote, is there anything deeply mysterious? It depends what you believe, he said. Is there anything startling? There are a few things that might be surprising. We've tested each one of the main monster hypotheses, and 3 of them we can probably say aren't right, and one of them might be. Wow. So looks like we might be getting closer to potentially some kind of scientific answer, Scott, as to what's going on in Loch Ness.
Yeah, I heard about this the other day, and I wonder if they're going to go with the whole plesiosaur angle.
You think so, man? You think they'd go cheap like that and just...
I mean, look, Joe, we're talking about mainstream science here, trying to put out a explanation for this. So I'm thinking that's the route they're going to go. I think they're going to go the plesiosaur route. I think the giant catfish and a giant sturgeon is a little too ridiculous.
Giant catfish? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So I think they're going to chalk it up to
catfish in Loch Ness, really?
Not that I know of.
I was going to say, like, since when is your climate even remotely?
Dude, I lived like I grew up on the banks of Loch Ness, on the banks, not in Loch Ness, Joe. The way your head's working tonight, I'm not literally the monster. Although some people probably today think I am.
First of all,
dude, never in my life did I hear any locals, any researchers, any of the hundreds of scientists that used to visit the loch going, potentially a catfish down there. Never in my life. No.
I never thought so. You didn't see people. You didn't see people putting their arms down anywhere, trying to
tickle a cat.
What the hell do they call that? Knuckling, I think it is.
You want to knuckle the
noodling? Yeah, noodling.
You want to knuckle the Loch Ness monster on the same night that you're talking about strap-ons? What kind of stream do you think this is, Joe? This is family orientated.
You bring me Nessie and I'll knuckle it. Okay.
That sounded so wrong, by the way.
Is what it is.
So wrong.
It is. Okay, we'll make national headlines. Okay.
Oh, you certainly would if you got caught knuckling Nessie.
But hey, here's the thing, right? You lived there. You lived right down the street from Nessie.
Literally, yeah, big time.
I mean, seriously, you were right there. What do you think? Obviously, there's got to be something to the lore. I truly believe. And I don't think people are going to be convinced that it's a sturgeon, a catfish, or a dinosaur. I just don't buy it.
Well, here's where I lived, guys, just to give you kind of a taste of just how close I was to the loch. There it is.
Here we go. Let's see.
Here's Fort Augustus here. That's where I grew up. And there's Loch Ness. It's on the mouth of Loch Ness. It's on the southern shore of the place,
So were you noodling out there, Kev?
Was I knuckling out there? No, I wasn't knuckling at all.
No knuckling, no noodling?
No knuckling, no noodling, nothing that, no ings that you're thinking of right now, no.
Okay,
but like you say, dude, right? I'll tell you, many locals have seen something. Probably not many of them talk about it because you know how it goes. Everyone knows everyone else up there. You're in the pub and soon you'll become that dude that's seen Nessie, right? And everyone's having a laugh and a pint about it. But then there's like an abbey up there. And
just let me interrupt. Abducted Christian ufologist in the chat room just said, that loch is so deep.
Oh, it really is so deep, literally. And then you've got the caverns underneath the hillsides. Like, if we just zoom out here, right? You've got the banks, obviously. And underneath those hills, you've got other big giant cave networks, Joe.
Is that
right?
right?
And bear in mind, it wasn't that long ago that they said in Scotland, they've found ancient cave networks that go from Scotland all the way across to Turkey.
How cool is that?
We're gonna.
Nice job busting this, Arthur, bro.
Awesome, Roosevelt. Roosevelt, you are the man that does a lot of busting. And anyone out there in the chat room right now, just click on Roosevelt Media News' name, sub to that channel, and it'll save you a lot of time because what Roosevelt does is he kind of aggregates a lot of what's going on, and it saves you wading through some of the madness on YouTube to really get the highlights or sometimes the low points of what's going on. So thank you, Roosevelt. And again, we're all doing this together, and big shout out goes to Ryan Gable. I had the easy job yesterday. I only had to host the show, and I'm not going to take credit where credit isn't due. So check out Ryan Gable, thesecretteachings.info. I love the guy. He's doing some great work on this. Yeah, we're working together on it, but please, please, please don't think this was me. I've got the easy job. I can just run with the info that Ryan got. But yeah, back to what we were talking about, Joe. You know, you've got the St. Benedictine Abbey that used to be there. Yeah. And a couple of the monks that were living there over the years, they had a couple of...
Can we do a Satharism?
Go for it.
They were the guardians.
Are they Satharictine? Are they Satharian monks?
No, they were the guardians of the sacred Benedictine.
The blue Benedictine.
The blue Benedictine chicken.
Well, listen, right, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, they've had a couple of sightings, and again, just because they're priests, it doesn't mean that they can't lie. However, I find it, more believable, or at least more interesting to hear a report from them, as opposed to somebody, making their way home drunk one night after being in the pub. But it always used to make me and my mates laugh when you would have tourists coming there from Japan and America every summer for awesome Philip Johnson, new member. That's what keeps me going, folks. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But yeah, we used to laugh, Joe, because these people would come for maybe a week or a fortnight at a time, and compare that to us living our full lives there. And yet somehow these people would always miraculously see something in the loch. I don't think it's that frequent when you get to see whatever it is that's there. But my mum and my stepdad, they came home from Inverness one day, and they had certainly had some kind of experience. Not your typical one, though, because we hear about the long neck and the humps and things like that coming out of the water. Well, what they seen was more like, for argument's sake, or to give people an idea, I'm not saying it was.
Blue chicken.
A big blue chicken whale just underneath the surface, but enough to cause a wake on top of it. It was massive. So whatever it was massive. And when you look over the years, all the various reports of what this Loch Ness monster is allegedly meant to look like, it takes various shapes and forms. And we don't have the unicorn per se, Joe, but we have the kelpie. And the kelpie in Scotland is a shape-shifting water monster. Is it something to do with that? I don't know. Is it something to do with the fact that...
I like that, though, man. It fits, you know what I mean? It fits. I like it. Let's go with the kelpie.
Yeah, because here's another angle.
Can it be blue? Can it be a blue kelpie?
It can certainly be a blue kelpie. Of course it can.
Okay, then we're good.
If you have people going up there, to go see the Loch Ness monster or wanting to see the Loch Ness monster, could we be talking about a tulpa?
Yes.
That they've traveled all that way, probably spent a lot of money, traveling, to Scotland to go to Loch Ness, and that they want to see it so bad that they end up seeing something.
No, I'm with you, Scott. Myself and Ryan actually discussed this. We said there's a chance like the Slender Man. More recently, we've had Momo and things. Not as much as Slender Man, but we see how Slender Man made its way from fiction into the real world when we had those girls, unfortunately, stabbing one of their friends. And myself and Ryan were talking about, intent and attention and consciousness. And when you're concentrating on something, like you say, maybe been your lifelong ambition to go to Loch Ness for 2 weeks, and thousands upon thousands of people doing that exactly the same time with that same intention of seeing something in the loch. Absolutely, Scott. I'm very open to the fact we could be manifesting something that does appear to be strange. Big time. In fact, Scott, I think there's a bigger chance of that, although science wouldn't agree with me, I think there's a bigger chance of that than this scientist finding some plesiosaur DNA, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's also kind of like the people that go looking for UFOs, right? And you get these tour groups and you get a whole bunch of people together, and their whole intent is to see a UFO. So if they're all focusing their energy on that, and they're all focusing on they want to see a UFO, then maybe they do manifest it. They manifest a UFO, and then everybody ends up seeing something strange, and I think it's kind of the same thing with the Loch Ness stuff. You get a lot of people out there that they want to see Nessie. Their minds are fixated on that. They're all focused on that, and then maybe they just manage to manifest it, and
And Scott, adding to that as well, something else I think all of us, the three of us, would be open to here is, and it's King Sweet in the chat room, and I've still got bad dreams, King Sweet, about you talking about a Queen sex doll the other day in the chat. That really scarred me.
Wait a minute, stop. Are you talking present day?
Yeah, present day, dude.
Like 1945.
Nah, she was never good back in the day either, dude. That Nazi inbred look, not a good thing.
You
not a
didn't
good
like
thing.
The Nazi inbred look?
Nah, even if you were to like robotify her, no.
Not even if you roboted, no.
But listen, think of this.
Wait, what about this? Ready?
Wait.
Hello there, Cap.
Okay, you've got the right face for a sex doll, but definitely not the royal family kind of.
No, no, that just doesn't.
Well,
do it
how
for
about
you,
this?
huh?
So back before you derail me totally, because Joe's in just derailing, Nessie mode tonight. Scott,
I don't know.
Scott, I'll come to you, Scott. Right? King Sweet mentioned possibly multi-dimensional, something to do with the lock. It's there's other dimensions. I'm open to that. I don't know about Joe today. Usually he would be, but
I'm totally for it.
You for that one?
Yeah, it's almost it's kind of like the whole Bigfoot thing too, right? We haven't been able to find a Bigfoot skeleton or carcass or anything like that, but people have spotted Bigfoot and seen Bigfoot. And so then that kind of opens the whole realm of, are we dealing with some kind of an interdimensional being of some sort?
But also, let me add on that just real quick, because it reminded me, I don't know, I saw a movie not too long ago, and it had to do with these creatures. No, it was Voltron, believe it or not. Over on Netflix, they've recreated Voltron, which, by the way, is phenomenal if you like that kind of stuff. And one scene has these creatures that are interdimensional, but they kind of don't control where they go. It's just like they're in one dimension and then they phase out and they go to another one. And they just bounce around, but there's no order to it at all.
Do you ever watch the OA, Joe? The OA?
Yeah.
That deals with like parallel realities, things like that.
Yeah,
but somebody in the chat room mentioned that Nessie's a myth. And it absolutely is. But for me and the guys here, we have a belief that myths are not stories that were made up. In fact, they're probably an oral passing down of factual events that did happen in the past.
There's some measure of truth there.
And you can go and look at the history. Somebody else mentioned the history of Nessie. You go back to around the 500 AD, around then, St. Columba, when they were spreading Christianity. And basically, St. Columba said that this loch, there's a monster in this loch. And people, if you don't repent and turn yourselves into Christians right now, this monster's going to gobble you all up. So there are people that say that it might have been some kind of almost a false flag.
An inquisition tool, if you will.
Yeah, like a straw man, a straw Nessie to make people turn away from... Straw Nessie to make people turn away from evil ways and evil deeds and go to the new church that was being built there. But then you look at when Crowley went up there, and I keep coming back to this, boys, and Crowley himself, self-proclaimed the most evil man on earth, okay? He was into some shady shenanigans, okay? And he's a very affluent man. He could have gone anywhere in the world. He did travel the world. He went to Egypt. He went all over the place.
He went all over the place, and he chose that place.
He chose that place. That exactly, Joe. Why did he choose that place specifically? Now, we know that
it have some sort of significance from like a ley line slant, energy slant, gateway perspective. And obviously it did if he was having his ritual, tantric craziness that he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. And
you know what I mean?
And you can look, obviously reporting, it's quite shady when he was, 1899 when he bought the property, I believe.
Yeah.
So the reports of sightings after 1899, there's a significant increase than before. And I get it, folks. Maybe all these things weren't recorded before then. I get that.
Adam Sarah in the chat room says, "Hey, Kev, you like the weather, maybe?" Maybe he just liked the weather.
If he
in Loch
liked
Ness.
weather, it certainly wouldn't be for the weather up there, guys. It's not good.
How do you know? Maybe he just liked gloomy and rainy.
You see
all
those
day.
two hills on either side of the loch? They just funnel wind 365 days a year down to Fort Augustus.
But you
That's
know,
all it
like,
does.
but it's also kind of the same. I have to go back to Bigfoot again because it seems like in the 20th century, it was like the Bigfoot phenomenon really picked up too. I mean, you've always heard of kind of legends and tales of like wild men and whatever, some kind of a creature out in the forest. But it wasn't until kind of like, I would say, modern sensational media started kind of taking hold that you really heard more reports of it.
Yep.
So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Like maybe there were sightings that were just as frequent, but it just wasn't reported as much, in the 1800s, as opposed to like the 1900s.
And even when you go back in time, Scott, as well as stigma, the bashing that your reputation would probably take as well back then, probably not as socially acceptable to talk about these things publicly,
Probably not.
Yeah. But, it is interesting, there's a lot of, I just think that there's a lot of similarities between the two, between Nessie and Bigfoot, how come we haven't seen the carcass of a Nessie or, whatever this creature is, wash up on shore?
And Scott, I can tell you there's never even been anything wash up where there's been like some big forensic kind of tent over it and nothing even that's been debunkable,
And, okay, so if we're talking about a creature, it has to be able to reproduce. There has to be more than one, right? I mean, unless we're talking about one creature that's the most lonely creature on the face of the planet that's been alive for like.
I couldn't think of a better place for a lonely creature to be is in that loch.
Yeah, like that's been alive for like what? How many, like 100,000 years or something? So
give or take.
It has to be reproducing. There has to be more than one of them.
Unless
and so you would think that one would that they would eventually die of old age. And
maybe there's a cloning center halfway up the loch.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, gentlemen. Of course, there's a cloning center.
That's what I'm going with, man.
But then it goes back to the whole interdimensional thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if we're talking about interdimensional creatures that just kind of blip in and out of existence within the loch, then you're not going to find a carcass.
No, you're right, dude. You're same as the Bigfoot. No carcass there either. Chupacabras, where do they come from? Look at Joe.
When they die,
look at Joe sitting there. Joe, what's put you in such a good mood today? What's made you so boisterous, dude?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I
am the same Joe that always has and ever will be.
No, some nights I hook up for hour number 2 with you, and honestly, dude, I feel like putting you on suicide watch some nights, man. It's not looking good today.
No. It's just, some nights I'm a little more worn out than others. Today it was a normal tempo day.
Well, King Sweet says, well, there's an active stone circle at the bottom of the loch. There's parts of the loch where they've never even been to the bottom, and I'm not suggesting it's a bottomless. Yeah, there's some that's really deep, Joe. Really. I mean, there was one story, but there was like deep sea divers went down. I think it was the 60s
and
or 70s.
And they never made it to the bottom, huh?
Well, it was somebody. There had been a fire on a boat, and they had to go and retrieve the body. And the people that went down, I wasn't alive at the time. I can only go by the local stories and things. But the 2 divers that came back up, all they would say was that it was almost like looking into the bowels of hell, and they never spoke about it again, ever. And they just absolutely whatever they seen down there, whether it was the bends had hit them, I don't know. But they came back up and
so it was just diving. So they didn't have like a deep sea vehicle or anything.
No. This was way back in the day. It would have been the big kind of heavy helmet and down, and it could be the bends. I get it could be the bends, but they literally, the one thing that is common in that story, whoever tells it to you that does remember it from the time, says it was the bowels of hell that they seen down there. Whatever that meant, whatever they thought they seen. Deep. Yeah,
it's got to be very dark too.
Yeah, well,
supremely dark
because of the way it was created, Joe. It was created by basically the ice sheet
Yeah, the
glare
torrent of
gout.
milk.
And somebody
Yeah,
in the chat room said they made a movie once called Loch Ness, Ted Danson. Do you want to know the funny part about that?
What's
About 5 minutes of that entire movie, if that was filmed on Loch Ness. They didn't even film it at Loch Ness. It was filmed on Loch Lomond. Crazy. Yeah, because it was closer to Glasgow and things, and, you know, nearer to the city and more, you know, didn't film on Loch Ness. Film about Loch Ness. We won't go to Loch Ness.
Film it here. This place sucks. Let's
Exactly.
go down the street.
Why do you think I couldn't wait to get away from up there, dude?
I can't believe it, dude. It
bonkers,
just sounds so gloomy.
No, listen, it's the same anywhere. When you grow up in a rural place, you know, it probably seems pretty.
I just don't, you know, it's hard because you look at Scotland and you look at the UK and you say, wow, it's so big that you don't think there's much in the way of rural country, but there is. There's quite a bit, actually.
Oh, big time. I mean, if we go back to that map that I was on, just quickly before we wrap up for the day.
Sure, let's go to the map.
Look at this up. I mean, there's Fort Augustus. You're talking about 7 miles to the nearest place that way, and it's 7 miles to the nearest place that way. You're talking about an hour-long journey to get a Chinese takeaway meal, an hour-long journey back. Dude, after 6 o'clock at night when I was growing up, if you hadn't had your supplies out of the store or you got caught short for something, you were waiting till the next day, or you were doing a 2-hour round trip to go to Inverness. It's just, it's just craziness, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, so that's crazy that
I mean, look at all this. Look at all this land up here. I mean, absolutely nothing, you know?
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah, so it really is. They don't call it the Highlands for nothing, that's for sure.
I guess not.
No. So what else we got before we wrap up for the day, boys? Because I don't want to keep people too long. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Scotty, what's happening with you, man? Because I know a lot of people, they're absolutely delighted to see you, but they're probably wondering what's happening with Scott.
All right. Well, I guess I'll give everyone an update here.
Yes, it's the Scott Lopez update. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I went to the specialist last Tuesday, and so my surgery for my amputation is scheduled for the 20th of June. So yeah, 20th of this month. That's when all of that will be going down, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, that's so terrible!" You know, that's no, I'm actually looking forward to this.
Joe Joseph, you are absolutely savage, man. I know we're all friends, and I know Scott likes it, but there's still levels of savagery you don't take things to. And when somebody's about to lose a foot, you sit and go,
the best meme in the world was that, and I swear, I still think about it all the time. It's funny, is when you went and posted the Patrick meme.
Yes, yes.
Funniest thing I've ever seen. Because here I am, I was sulking for you like, oh man, I mean, this is, and here you are making fun of it. Really showing, yeah, look at me now. I look like Patrick.
Exactly, dude. I mean, I'm one of these people that gets really sensitive and likes to have a wee cry now and again. And then, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see Scott making a joke about how this is going to help his symmetrical OCD.
It certainly defused the situation for me.
No, but for real though, I mean, look, I know it's pretty grim, right? You know, getting your foot amputated or whatever, but in the end, it's going to improve my quality of life. And believe me, I'm going through a lot more pain now than I will dealing with the surgical scar. You know, the surgical wound. The pain from that is going to be nothing compared to what I'm dealing with right now.
Maybe you can get it. Maybe you can get it amputated like a man. Okay, so. Think about this. We'll recreate some time on Captain Cook's ship back in the
yes. Give me a stick. Give me a stick to bite on. Give me a stick to bite on. Give me a bottle.
You got to take some laudanum down the hatch, and then you bite on some rawhide, and then good old Kev will use a rusty saw.
Scott.
And then afterwards we'll use a torch.
Scott, trust me, I know what he's building up towards. He's already warned me, Scott, what his plans are. He wants to do this live on YouTube. He wants us to actually do it. Me and Joe with the saw. We're the ones to do it live on YouTube, you know?
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of an educational thing, like more like survival amputation.
Should I have? Should
And
I
we
have?
can monetize it.
Should
What
I
do you
have
think,
my
Kev?
foot pickled? Should I have it pickled in a jar?
Pickled. Yes, let's pickle it.
Or should I just send it off to the
We can
company
bronze
that makes
it.
ankles?
Oh yeah, dude, we could use it as a vajankle mold.
Oh my word, man!
How
Oh,
do you
man.
like that? Oh my!
Well, if talking about the Purge didn't
that
get me
note-
demonetized, I'm sure the
There
vajankle
we
joke.
go.
Well,
See you later.
nothing like a vajankle joke to kill the mood, eh? No, but folks, somebody in the chat room said it's a great show. I really don't even think about this being a show because that kind of hints that we put things together, we structure it, we plan things out. It's just me, Joe, and Scotty, and all of you out there. We've got the mics, we've got the cameras, yeah, but we're just an extension of you, and it's just hanging out, it's just chilling out. And I'm just really ever so grateful that you come along and check us out, whether you agree or disagree. But to those people supporting me in the channel here, you really, really have no idea how much that helps, especially in today's current climate with what we were talking about at the start of the show. Without people over here and my absolutely brilliant Patreon supporters, seriously, I mean, I don't know what myself and the family would do, and that's not some kind of sob story. Joe, you know that for a fact, dude.
Oh yeah, man.
So,
no
I mean,
doubt, dude.
the fact
No
that you
doubt.
allow me to come on here and hang out with all you great people in the chat room, and some of you show a little piece of appreciation. Again, I'd be here anyway, even if it wasn't for that, and we'll still be here, even if we have to censor ourselves to the point where, we redact about 3/4 of the show that we do. But again, I just want to relay and convey my thanks to everyone out there. Maybe
So
don't
if you
do it
would
often
stuff
enough.
if you'd stuff a quid in the man's vajankle before the night's out, that'd be really good.
I think maybe the vajankle might be the next emoji. No, it's not the next emoji. Oh, no. Bad news. I think Scott even...
Do we have limits, boys? Seriously. Ha!
We do have limits. But yeah, I'm going to be back tomorrow, hopefully on TFR, folks. Let's fingers crossed we get the Truth Network back
And
up.
if not,
Because,
fallback plan is we go streaming.
because silence is consent. You taught me well. You kind of schooled me that one.
Not where, because that would be bad.
How?
It's okay.
But-
How?
Yeah, but
Where
I don't
silence is
get.
consent. That
Yeah.
means that you're not saying anything. You're just consenting.
No, where silence is consent. So to be silent there is to be consensual to something, and we're not silent about anything. You see, you're just splitting hairs now. Potato,
I'm giving you
potato.
proper English, so you don't know it. You talk Scottish.
You
It's weird.
people in America don't even use the proper English.
This is why AI can't ever understand Scots.
How do you spell the word color?
COLOR. We don't put a U
Exactly.
in it.
You don't speak English.
It's not color.
You don't speak
That's
English.
French.
You don't speak English. You speak broken, put together words. So please.
It is. It would probably be. I would have to say it kind of. It went kind of
bastardized. We've bastardized the kings.
bastardized. Exactly, because we,
There
okay,
we
so-
go, boys. We have done it tonight. We've actually reached where I wanted to get us. Jimbo
Which
in the
is
chat room. You effers are crazy. LMFAO. That's exactly what we want to be known as.
Yes, that's well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we came from, and you listen to Brits, and oh by God, you don't. So they're very astute. It's a very astute, old, but hearty language. And then you've got English, which is the bastardized version of it, basically like cloning. How some things just don't translate over and they cause defects. Well, that's English. It's kind of like how it is with English and Ebonics. Or all that. It's that degradation.
Okay. You're trying to say that there's something wrong with the Scottish language, all right? Right?
What I'm
Okay,
trying to
well,
say,
let's just...
there's something wrong with
Okay.
the Scottish language. You can't understand a word of it.
Okay, well, I can't play that one because I believe that's copyrighted material. But if we go to...
Same like redneck. You go down to Louisiana. Hey man,
Right, hang on. I'll see if we can hear this because there's something up in my volume. Hang on, I'll see if I can hear it.
Try an American accent. Alexa, play. No, do it Scottish. Alexa. She didn't even listen to me. Alexa, play Something's Cooking in My Kitchen on Spotify by Dana.
I can't find Something's Cooking in My Kitchen by Donna on Spotify.
It's not Donna. Alexa, play Something's Cooking in My Kitchen by Dana on my Spotify.
I can't find Something's Cooking in My Kitchen by Donna on Spotify.
You see, I find Alexa very hateful and very.
Of course you would.
Yes, I feel almost like I'm being persecuted because of my language.
And it has nothing to do with that.
Look,
it's because
Alexa,
you guys are humble.
Alexa is allowed to fragrantly kind of overstep the hate speech.
Ozzy Osbourne. That's all I got to say. The only thing I ever heard from is Sharon. That was it. That's all I could. Unless he sings it.
Ozzy Osbourne, dude.
You gotta sing it to Alexa.
You could at least pick somebody that was from planet Earth as an example. That dude is wired to the moon.
Sing it to Alexa, Kev. If you sing it to Alexa, she'll understand you.
Alexa would never get in my house. I would smash it off the wall. Yeah, call me a bully, breaking inanimate objects.
But wait a minute. But you'd put a chip in your head.
That's different.
Different.
It's because Elon Musk told me it'd be good.
That's not different.
Oh,
how is that different? I'm still trying to figure this out. So I would get neural lace, but by God, I would never put Alexa in my freaking house.
Joe, don't let facts get in the way of my good narrative, and don't call up.
You're absolutely right.
Don't use historical data against me. Come on, dude.
What was I thinking?
This is interesting. So Alexa couldn't understand her trying to say Dana.
Here's the thing, Scott. I'll let you in a little secret, right? See that the voice matching AI and the voice listening AI doesn't like our accents. It doesn't like the Scottish accent. Doesn't fly with AI well whatsoever, dude.
It don't fly with no AI.
My mom's name is Tana. T-A-N.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Scott. I'm sorry, Scott. We don't have a Tana in the house.
See, I was going to say, you guys would pronounce it Tana, huh?
What are we saying here?
I certainly wouldn't pronounce it right, that's for sure.
Just having a look in the chat room before we take our leave. I see Nana in there. Great to see you, Nana. Guy Wilson, Brian, another member of the channel there. An abducted Christian ufologist. Maybe you do hang out over in TFR sometimes, I don't know, but you've been absolutely brilliant in the chat today. Top, great stuff. Daryl, love seeing you here, brother. We've got JC. Is that like the JC? Like
I think so. I think it is, yeah.
Like resurrected.
And we got Phil Johnson. He's the new member, dude.
Awesome, yeah. So remember, folks, you can support the channel by joining or pressing the join button if you're on a PC. If you're on your mobile or laptop or some other mobile device, not so much laptop, go to the channel, and on the channel page, you'll find the join button. So, yeah, you can help me out there. We've got Lisa in there. Weapon times 5. That's Joe tonight. You're a weapon times 10.
That's not me.
You are. You're a weapon. An absolute weapon. We've got Dorito in there as well. Journey of Aries.
Me. Just so you know. See?
Hang on. Somebody told me to look up Scottish Siri before we go. I know Siri doesn't like me. Really doesn't like me. Okay, here we go. iPhone commercial.
So what are your options then?
Hang on, here we go. Scottish Siri.
This is why you need antitrust.
I think.
Gonna give me a hand here, getting something to eat, and something simple like a chip butty or maybe a Jimmy Dodger, and then a pint of, I don't know, McEwen's Lager or Caledonian 80.
Good man.
I'm not aware of any meetings about thing without Mahatma Johnny Georgia and Joni Chip Butty.
Joni Chip Butty.
Fuck's sakes. See me, right? I want a jammy Dodger, like a fucking jam sandwich, and a chip butty. That's just bread with chips. I'm not even going to get into the pints. Just get me that.
Sorry, I don't understand. I need to get some pajamas.
Fucking cow. I need a sandwich, a jammy Dodger. It's just bread and jam. Fuck the chip butty. Fuck the
jammy Dodger. What the
do that, please, you
jammy
fucking
Dodger?
cow. Oh, for fuck's sake.
So it understood the bad language, but not the fact he wanted his jammy dodger?
What is a jammy dodger?
A jammy dodger's just a biscuit, dude. It's a biscuit or a jam piece. 2 bits of bread, bit of jam. But a jam dodger's a biscuit.
It's a jam sandwich.
Yeah,
it's a jelly sandwich.
It's a jelly sandwich. What? How?
See, there's another thing, jelly. Jelly's something you eat with ice cream, you freaks. What are you talking about?
Jelly you eat with anything, but here's my thing, right? Here it's you got peanut butter and jelly, but I don't visualize just jelly on bread.
What
like
are you
that.
talking
That's
about,
that's
man?
Not how we roll here. You know how Americans are.
Dude,
we do everything to excess. We don't just put jelly on bread.
But you mix it with like peanut butter, and that's okay.
Oh yeah, you put peanut butter and jelly.
Dude.
Let's throw some bananas on there.
That's sacrilege. I mean, you guys, you are an American, but you're French fries.
Living, dude. I mean, come on. What the fuck is jelly?
He's called chips, French fries, and you call crisps chips. You lot are absolutely cuckoo, man. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, crisps.
See when you won your War of Independence.
Crisps.
See when you won your War of Independence and you
chips.
kicked us out of there. We thought, we're just going to mess them up. We'll leave them some words that don't really mean.
Chips or fries there, right?
No, chips are chips here.
Chips or fries.
No. Where you are, chips or fries.
Okay, but that's right. So that's why they have to call them crisps.
You see, you get that. You
Call
get
them
that.
something else.
You get that Statue of Liberty, and you think to yourself, "Oh, we'll just go all continental, and we'll call our chips French fries, freaks." What are you all about? What's that? What's happening?
See, this is another thing where people get very militant over their food.
Square sausage.
Square sausage.
Right, when you start arguing about French fries and chips, it is time to go. So, folks, before I go, Bill Bean tomorrow, he'll be chasing away all the ooga boogas, the spiritual warrior, or as I prefer to call him, sensationalist clickbait Kev, the real exorcist, will be on the show tomorrow. So tune in for that, be it here, be it over at TFR. And remember what I always say at the end of these streams, keep your minds open, but not to the point where your brain falls out and it's replaced by the 17th letter of the alphabet or a big blue chicken egg. I had to get it in before we left, boys. Had to get it in. You know that. Right, here we go, guys. I'll play Joe's lovely music on the way out the door tonight because I know he loves it.
Break it down.
We're going to get a dance from Joe.
Yes.
It's a wonder he's not asking Scott to dance. You've had a go at him for
dancing. He's dancing. He's got it going. He's turning the butter.
You've had a go at him for everything else today, right? Why not?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, of course you don't, Joe. Folks, see what I've got to work with here. Unbelievable.
It's hard to find good help.
They say
isn't
don't
it?
work with animals or kids. Add Joe Joseph to the list, okay?
I make good coffee, though.
Or you do make good coffee. When I take Joe Rogan's podcast off him and I'm sitting there in that big fancy room, you're going to be my tea boy. You'll be the guy off camera that nobody sees.
One of them there Keurigs pretty damn good, man. I'll tell you that right now.
We need to get the king over for Cooking with the King one night, Joe. A YouTube special, yes. So until next time, folks, love yous, leave yous, and keep it real.